Hello viewers and welcome to New Zim TV. I am Makanaka Masenyama. Stories making the headlines. President Emmerson Mnangagwa to meet Ramaphosa over electricity. In the courts, Gaddafis asylum seeker son set to go free. In business, parallel market exchange rate beat 10 as interbank market rates maintain close range. In sports, blow for suspended Zimbabwe Cricket board. Now the news in greater detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa will on Sunday meet his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa to try and thrash out a deal that could see Zimbabwe getting electricity from its powerful southern neighbor. Mnangagwa told participants at a monthly cleanup exercise in Domboshava Friday that he had also had discussions with Mozambican leader Filipe Nyusi over the same issue last month, with consultations ongoing. The ZANU-PF leader said he was hoping his meeting with Ramaphosa would bear fruit. Zimbabwe this week paid part of its debt to South African power supplier Eskom in a move that is aimed at triggering fresh negotiations for renewed supplies. Now it seems Mnangagwa has taken the issue so seriously that he is willing to front the negotiations himself. Zimbabwe is reeling under the weight of a crippling power shortage, worsened by low water levels at Kariba Dam and dilapidated infrastructure at Hwange that is constantly breaking down. The result has been an up to 18-hour power shedding program across the country, with industry unable to operate optimally. Austerity measures undertaken by government have received a seal of approval from the World Bank after the global funder upgraded Zimbabwe from a low-income economy to a lower middle-income economy. The move signifies a positive shift that President Emmerson Mnangagwa will likely take as a show of support from his economic policies that has citizens on edge amid threats of social upheaval. Mnangagwa has promised to transform Zimbabwe into an upper-middle-income economy by 2030, with the latest classification being for the period 2019 to 2020, effective from July 1 this year. The next grading is expected at the same time next year. Last year, Zimbabwe was in the low-income economy category with a gross national income per capita of $910. Lower middle-income economies have a gross national income per capita of $1,790. The bank said for the current 2020 fiscal year, low-income economies are defined as those with a gross national income per capita calculated using the World Bank Atlas method of $1,025 or less in 2018. Government has failed to put money to help the rehabilitation of street kids under the Children on the Streets Fund, Auditor General Mildred Chiri has said. In her 2018 report, Chiri observed that a measly $963 has been kept in the fund account reserved for bank charges, while Treasury has effectively ignored the issue altogether. Zimbabwe's deepening economic crisis has seen more and more children pouring onto the streets to survive on begging, with a greater number of families reportedly failing to put together money enough for a meal on a daily basis. Chiri expressed concern that children rounded off the streets by state agents were either put in government children's facilities or private home run by non-governmental organizations, but with little or no financial aid from Treasury. In response, Chiri's report said Home Affairs Deputy Minister Michael Madiro admitted that children on the streets remain exposed to various social ills that include rape and sodomy, adding government does not have capacity to register and support all of them. In business, the newly introduced Zimbabwean dollar Friday softened against major currencies on the parallel market, overtaking the interbank exchange rate that had held out for a day. The introduction of the monocurrency system for the first time in 10 years 2 weeks ago curtailed rampaging exchange rates on the parallel market that had threatened to plunge the country into chaos. A market assessment by NewZimbabwe.com Business Friday showed that the parallel market had gained ground, with the local currency now trading at 1:10 against the US dollar, while on the interbank market rates hovered around 1:8.4 for buyers and selling for just over 1:9 against the greenback. In the courts, a man who is claiming to be slain Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafis' son, who has been detained at Harare maximum remand prison for the past 5 years, will now be released and allowed to leave the country. This after High Court Judge Justice Felistus Chatukuta removed his case from the court roll, paving the way for 32-year-old Abdallah Moussa al-Gaddafis' release. Al-Gaddafi came to Zimbabwe as an asylum seeker and expected to be sent to a refugee camp, but authorities instead detained him. His lawyer Charles Warara, who told NewZimbabwe.com that the matter was removed from the roll to facilitate his release and repatriation to a country of his choice in the next 30 days. Libya's former strongman, Gaddafi, was a close friend of former President Robert Mugabe, and this could have inspired his son's wish to seek asylum in the country. Muammar Gaddafi was killed by rebel soldiers who had support from the United States and its allies after being captured in 2011 as a wave of protest, commonly known as the Arab Spring, swept across North Africa, leaving many long-standing regimes in ruins. We are taking a short break. We will be back soon.
Many people have been asking me how did I manage it, because they could see that everything was there, everything was just happening, things were being paid. So I've told people that it was through Diaspora funeral cash plan. So I would advise everyone to join this Diaspora funeral cash plan. Their policy is good because it took all the weight off my shoulders.
The suspended Tavengo Mkhuhlane-led Zimbabwe Cricket Board suffered a major blow after High Court Judge Justice Joseph Musakwa dismissed with costs its urgent chamber application seeking to overturn the decision by the Sports and Recreation Commission. Zimbabwe Cricket's ousted board had sought reprieve at the High Court following their suspension for going against the Sports and Recreation Commission's directive to suspend their elective annual general meeting on June 14, pending investigation into allegations of electoral irregularities in the lead-up to the polls. There were also allegations of misappropriation of funds against Mkhuhlane and his executive. The SRC replaced the Mkhuhlane-led board with an interim one over a week ago, but the suspended board members, together with Zimbabwe Cricket's acting managing director Give Makoni, lodged a High Court application seeking to have their suspension lifted until their appeal was heard by the administrative court. To end this news bulletin, here is a recap of headlines once more. President Mnangagwa to meet Ramaphosa over electricity, and the courts. Gaddafi asylum seeker son set to go free. In business, parallel market exchange rate hit 10 as interbank market rates maintain close range. In sports, a blow for suspended Zimbabwe Cricket Board. Reporting for NewZimbabwe.com, I am Makanaka Masinyama. For this and more stories, visit our website www.newzimbabwe.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel NewzMTV.